All right, who's ready for an adventure? I hope the answer is everybody. Okay. Hello! How is everybody? I think you can hear me. I think you can see me. I think the captions are on both channels. I may have been messing around with the setup to try and streamline things a little and run into a snag like right at the very end that I quickly solved, but it also delayed me slightly, so I apologize for that. But what I managed to do today will hopefully help in the long run to make things just a little bit better. You never change the stream setup before stream. The problem is, Obi-Wan, I don't really get to use this room except right before stream, so that's the only time I can. So it's always messy. But welcome everybody. Anne on the VTUL Studios channel. Welcome Obi-Wan Pez, Lord Portico. It's good to see you both. Hannah, congratulations on the customer showing up as soon as the music started. That bodes well for the day, I suppose. Key Squared, it's good to see you. Yeah. Anybody else who has joined today, welcome in. In case you happen to be new, I am Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech, also known in some portions of the internet as Rogan27. And this is a weekly show that I do called Archival Adventures, where I sort of do like unboxings of materials from our collections in special collections and university archives here, generally on a theme or a single collection or something like that. And this week, in honor of it having been Labor Day on Monday, I have some materials related to the Textile Workers Union of America, a union that doesn't exist anymore under that name. However, they do, they've over time like processed through, as things do, to fall under another name, and I'm trying to find where that is. I had that info. If anybody else remembers it, feel free to yell at me. They are now something. I don't know. I don't remember. I would have to dig it out. I thought it was in my social media posts, but it appears not to be. It doesn't matter. We're going to learn about them. And I suppose the first bit of learning could be just sort of tracking down who they became. So give me 1 second. I shall do that. Textile Workers Union of America became the Union of Needle Trades, Industrial, and Textile Employees, which became Unite Here, which is a current union that is still in operation. So And Unite here is a merger of the Union of Needle Trades Industrial and Textile Employees and the Hotel Employees and Restaurant Employees Union. So the things we're going to look at today are from an organization that's like 2 organizations ago from the current Unite Here union. But I think they'll be interesting. Honestly, I have no idea what any of them look like this week because this time around, other than having looked up the finding aid, I haven't seen anything. My student assistant that just started this year did all the prep work, did all the review to point out like highlights of things like, oh, you should make sure that you don't miss this. I haven't seen inside the boxes yet. So it will be a true anonymous one where like I haven't even gone through to look for the promo image. Anywho, can we turn the music down just a tad? Yes. Yes, we can. Somehow. Hang on. Okay, it should be slightly less powerful music now. Let me know if that's a better balance. And I'm going to just advance slightly. We like to start off with our little acknowledgements here. They're not actually so little, but the land acknowledgement and labor recognition, these were generated initially by the Office for Inclusion and Diversity, and they recognize the history of the institution here. Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tutelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that the Morrill Land Grant College Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands in Western territories. We understand that honoring Native peoples without explicit material commitments falls short of our institutional responsibilities. Through sustained, transparent, and meaningful engagement with the Tutelo and Monacan peoples and other Native nations, we commit to changing the trajectory of Virginia Tech's history by increasing Indigenous student, staff, and faculty recruitment and retention, diversifying course offerings, and meeting the growing needs of all Virginia tribes and supporting their sovereignty. Virginia Tech acknowledges that its Blacksburg campus sits partly on land that was previously the site of the Smithfield and Solitude plantations, owned by members of the Preston family. Between the 1770s and the 1860s, the Prestons and other local white families that owned parcels of what became Virginia Tech also owned hundreds of enslaved people. We acknowledge that enslaved black people generated wealth that financed the predecessor institution to Virginia Tech, the Preston and Olin Institute, and they also worked on construction of its building. Not until 1953, however, was the first black student permitted to enroll. Through inclusive VT, the institutional and individual commitment to prosim, that I may serve. In the spirit of community, diversity, and excellence, we commit to advancing a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. So, let's take a look at the finding aid. Let me pull it up real quick and then I will change scenes because I didn't get it pulled up. There are 2, and technically actually 3 finding aids, but we'll get to them. Okay. first off, one of the collections we're looking at is the Nat Goldman Correspondence. And this collection, Nat Goldman was born in May 1990 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. His family immigrated to New York City, and Goldman was naturalized as a U.S. citizen in October of 1937. During the years of his correspondences, he worked as an auditor for the Textile Workers Union of America, CIO. In this case, I'm not certain what CIO is standing for. Generally, CIO to me in a business context would say Chief Information Officer, but this is like 1937, so I'm not certain what CIO means in this instance. Maybe we'll find out. He dated Reba Barron at the time of his correspondences to her, and they married on November 16, 1949. Barron was born in New York City around 1920. She worked as a bookkeeper at a fur factory during the correspondence with Goldman. So much of the correspondence in this, I believe, is of a personal nature, but it does talk about how the enclosed letters, let's see, no, that's not it. I know I glanced at this part earlier. Tells her of his travels and his work for the union. So we'll plan to look at some of those letters, and we'll see what's there. I think most of the highlights that were called out for me were the other collection. Which is 025. Oop. I have typed it wrong. Yep. I love that. Something's wrong here. The other collection that I pulled is the Wayne L. Dernoncourt Papers, 1950 to 1980. So Wayne Leroy Dernoncourt, a union organizer and official in the Textile Workers Union of America, was born in Springfield, Illinois on June 15, 1918. He was the son of Joseph Dernoncourt, himself a union organizer, and Amelia Dernoncourt. Starting work while still a minor, Dernoncourt soon became involved in union organization, serving on the Steelworkers Organizing Committee during the 1930s. Dernoncourt married Leota Lampesader, something along those lines, I suppose. And the couple would have 3 children. After serving in the U.S. Army during World War II, Dernoncourt joined the staff of the Textile Workers Union of America in 1946. Became vice president in 1964, and then when it merged with the Amalgamated Clothing Workers of America in 1976, he became vice president and director of the Upper South region of the Textile Division. He co-authored The Grievance Procedure and Arbitration, Text and Cases, in 1978, and in his later years, he lived in Lynchburg, Virginia, where he died in 1981. So a little administrative history of the Textile Workers Union of America, which is the focus of today's collection. Formed in 1939 through a merger of the Textile Workers Organizing Committee and the United Textile Workers as part of the Congress of Industrial Relations. There it is. That's what CIO is in this context. Congress of Industrial Relations. The TWA participated in the Congress of Industrial Relations' push to unionize industries in the American South, beginning in 1948. The union became embroiled in bitter infighting between factions led by the union's president, Emil Rieve, and its executive vice president, George Baldanzi. The 1952 Biennial Convention was particularly contentious and led to the secession of Baldanzi and his faction to the rival United Textile Workers. A number of TWUA locals followed Baldanzi to the UTW, resulting in a loss of 50,000 TWUA members. In 1976, the TWUA merged with the Amalgamated Clothing Workers of America to form the Amalgamated Clothing and Textile Workers Union, ACTWU. The new union had an initial membership of approximately 500,000, but it shrank steadily in the following decades. In 1995, the ACTWU merged with the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, becoming the Union of Needle Trades, Industrial, and Textile Employees, UNITE. In 2004, UNITE in turn merged with the Hotel Employees and Restaurant Employees Union, HERE, to form UNITE HERE. Somehow it's not surprising that as things moved into modern day, instead of just calling it by whatever letters their name happened to spell, they came up with names that spelled words. And words that were meaningful to their context. My headphone cord keeps bumping the mic, so I'm gonna move the mic real quick. Bear with me. Also, I have a surprise that's not in the MoveOn announcement. Okay. Hopefully there will be less headphone cord noise. So today, right before stream, I pulled something from a third collection that isn't mentioned in the announcement there, and that of course I don't have a short link for. But give me 1 second, I will pull up the info that I have. Okay, so the records of the Appalachian Student Organizing Committee, spanning 1964 to 1975, most of it from 1971 to 1974. There is a folder in this collection relevant to today's topic. Hang on, I'm gonna get rid of the highlighted words. There. So, listed in here, there's one folder, Textile Workers Union of America, Radford FMC Plant. And so we've got a couple of pages related to that. So a little bit, the Appalachian Student Organizing Committee was an approved student organization at Virginia Tech in the early 1970s. The organization's mission was to raise awareness about Appalachian issues and provide support for other grassroots organizations in the Appalachian region. The coordinators of the organization were David Tice and Alan Cox. Tice was a member of the class of 1974. The Radford FMC plant, that is where the chapter of the Textile Workers Union of America union was located, that the papers we have are about. It's the munitions plant. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm looking. Oh. FMC. You know, I'm not certain. It might be this FMC corporation, in which case we'll come back and look at it. But how about we look at some documents and maybe we can figure it out together? Because I am uncertain what plant. I had assumed it was something related to the munitions stockpile that's located in Radford, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. So, no lovely transition this time, mostly just because switching over to the document cam is where I ran into the challenge. I could not get the document cam to be recognized by my computer. I need some sort of adapter, I think. And so I couldn't get the document cam into OBS. So, completely different scene, and you'll see the green screen behind me also not functioning in this case because, yeah, just because of how the connections are working today. Anyway, this is the folder from the Appalachian Student Organizing Committee, Textile Workers Union of America, Radford FMC plant. So let's see what we can learn, because I didn't even come across this one like when I first was looking for things. Okay. First off, we have this handwritten letter. Sorry. I know I'm scattered today. Ida Sieber, Sieber, I think. Dear Ida, it was good meeting you. Friday. I was like, what is that word? That word is Friday. Wow, that took me forever. It was good meeting you Friday at the TWUA meeting here. I'm writing just to offer our support and help for your organizing drive there. We are willing to help you in any way you think we can. In particular, so far, we are trying to find out who the people who were making those phone calls were. We are also trying to find out if there are any ties between the plant there, or its owners, FMC, and the university here. If so, pressure can be brought on the university administrators involved to settle with TWUA should the need arise. If you need any kind of research, printing, etc. done, just let us know. Hope to see you again soon. Sincerely, David A. Tice. Okay. Helping people as they wished to be helped. How platinum of them. I know, like, oh, let's offer them help and let them know that, you know, that they don't necessarily have to accept it. I'm guessing this is FMC Corporation. I don't know. I'm going to do a little more poking because I'm really curious. So next we have strike follows layoffs at Fielddale Textile Plant. It's in this same folder, so I assume it's related. We'll find out. Wait, what happened? Oh, the third one. You updated on the other one, but not on this one. I can make it be updated on this channel too. It'll just take me a moment. Maybe. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold, please. One moment, please. We will get this done. And a surprise third. Edit command. Edit command. Paste in the extra. Save. Okay, it should be updated in both channels now. Cool. And let's see, the next item in here. Strike follows layoffs at Fielddale Textile Plant. Fielddale. A job layoff at the HCA Martin Corporation here has resulted in a wildcat strike against the textile fiber company. The workers walked off their jobs Wednesday afternoon after 62 employees were laid off. Charles Arrington, a vice president in the local Textile Union Workers of America, TUWA. Wow, that's so much easier to say than Textile Workers Union of America, which is TWUA, but TUWA is easier to say than TWUA is. But also, they have the name backwards. It is Textile Workers Union of America. Said the employees were laid off without a required 72-hour advance notice. Boy, that sounds like it could have happened today. Estimates on the number of people out vary, but a union spokesman puts the figure at between 50 and 100 people. The strike does not affect Martin's operation in Rocky Mount, which is non-union. The wildcat strike has not been sanctioned by the local union, according to another local union spokesman, Carlton Rakes. Martinsville Circuit Court Judge Frank Richardson issued an injunction ordering that only 2 pickets be allowed at the plant entrance and no others within 200 feet of each side of the entrance. The ruling also ordered the strikers to refrain from coercing workers into joining the strike. The strikers said they were attempting to get the injunction lifted. A handful of picketers was at Martin's new facility in Rocky Mount Wednesday. They were employees at the Fielddale plant. Arrington said that some of the employees who were laid off were given only 15 minutes notice. Yeah, that entire story sounds just like it could have been taken out of today's news. But I don't think that is actually related to this letter about FMC. I think the Fielddale plant is something completely different. But honestly, if the person processing the collection had not, didn't actually sit there and read through absolutely everything, then they wouldn't know. And if they were filed together, all right, I'm gonna look up FMC Corporation because I think that might have been what this first one was about. Oh, but it's a chemical manufacturing company. Originated as an insecticide producer in 1883 and later diversified into other industries. I mean, there is a chemical plant in Christiansburg today. When was this? Unknown. There's no date on it. So most of the stuff is from the 70s. Let me see if I can. I ended up building vehicles. I don't see anything about textiles though, so I don't know. Oh, you can see it behind my head. Yeah, I have no idea whether the FMC Corporation that I have been able to find is in any way the one related. That would take some digging. I'm not certain who the FMC Corporation was in Radford. But we have another about this Fielddale plant, another article. Estimates vary on strikers at Fielddale plant. Estimates range from 125 to 400 for the number of HCA Martin Corporation employees on strike over a seniority issue at the company's Fielddale plant. Over a seniority issue? Did we not just read that it was massive layoffs? Trying to find HCA Martin Corporation, which I'm guessing is now a defunct name. I'm attempting. I'm not really finding anything. HCA Martin Corporation. I think it's moved into the healthcare industry now. I'm not certain. There's an HCA Martin Healthcare is a company now. If anybody cares to search and track it down, feel free. I'm not going to dig too far into it. It's a company that didn't treat workers well, apparently, and that probably got bought up into a much larger company that still doesn't treat workers well. I don't know if this is the correct corporation. FMC Corporation is an American chemical manufacturing company headquartered in Philadelphia, originated as an insecticide. Yeah, so I found that same company. It's the only FMC I've been able to find, but the talk here, like this is supposed to be Textile Workers Union. And so I don't know if they're just like offering to provide assistance or if they're targeting them because FMC was doing something with textiles at the time. And I don't know. This doesn't give me enough information for that. There is chemical manufacturing in the area, so it's entirely possible that FMC as a chemical company would be in the area. But yeah, I don't know. That is something where I wasn't able to find quick answers, so it'd be something requiring additional research. But let's see. After a week of the strike, unauthorized by the local union, a company spokesman said an offer to return to work will remain in effect until Friday. Again, this newspaper clipping I also don't have a date for. Members of Local 1835 Textile Workers Union of America. Interesting. I wonder when it switched from Textile Workers Union of America to... No, that's TWUA. Sorry, the other article just had it backwards. Rejected the offer Monday, the company man said. Charles Arrington, vice president of the local, said between 375 and 400 of the workforce of approximately 450 is out on strike. He said the company is bringing supervisors from its Rocky Mount plant to work at Fielddale. I'm not certain where Fielddale is. It's in Henry County, Virginia, it looks like. Oh, wow. No, that's not Virginia. No, yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, it's quite a ways south of where I am, south and east. It's near Martinsville, Virginia, which is about roughly halfway between where Virginia Tech is and like roughly halfway between here and Durham, North Carolina. Getting close to the North Carolina border. Anyway, on the other hand, the company man claimed Fieldale plant is at 100% production and denied that Rocky Mount personnel have been moved to Fieldale. He said the company originally laid off 60, and after the protest walkout last Wednesday, a certified letter offering return to work was sent to 125 or so. But the company man emphasized that with 5 shifts, it's impossible to come up with the number who are working and those who are on strike. Arrington said seniority is the issue. They left people in who had been there only 2 weeks and laid off others who had worked a year. And they just gave 15 minutes notice to some. Although the Rocky Mount plant is non-union, 6 pickets have been there since the Fieldale strike began. We believe we'll bring it to a vote at Rocky Mount, Arrington said. The pickets are turning away at least 2/3 of the trucks with Teamster drivers, he said. Interesting. I'm curious about those. I may, if I ever have time, I'd be interested to like dig into them a little bit more and see what I could learn. But this looks like 2 copies of the same item, which is fine. Important. Union members best protected. Union members are the best protected workers from unfair dismissals on the job. A special report in the Labor Department's monthly labor review has concluded. The report, published by the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics, declares that protection from discharge in the U.S. economy is comprehensive in union contracts, but is limited to organized groups of workers. Other protections are given to federal government employees and state or local government workers with merit systems. The report says that most 19th century U.S. employers, quote, would have been astonished at the suggestion that a decision to discharge a worker should be reviewed for fairness when a worker covered by a union contract is fired. The report continues, quote, he may file a grievance with his union, which, weighing strategic and tactical elements, must decide whether to take it up with management. So long as the firing is questionable, the union will probably press for reinstatement. At the end of the line, of course, is arbitration. The most fully protected American workers are union members, the BLS report concludes. Reinstatement of workers in the manner in which it commonly occurs under U.S. union contracts is relatively unusual in industrialized countries. Contrasted with this is the situation of non-union workers in small U.S. firms, which the report says, quote, resembles that of their 19th century counterparts. Okaw Hill, Fairlawn, Virginia. We got some dates in September. Again, there's no year. We could guess. We could get a list of possible years by looking to see when September 27th was on a Thursday. I believe 1979 would be a possibility for a Thursday, September 27th. But, and then I guess it would be like, what, every 4 or 5 years. But is it worth doing that? For the show, no. But, you know, possibly if I was trying to dig into this and learn more specifically about something related to this, issued by the In-Plant Organizing Textile Workers Union of America. I'm not even certain which plant this is related to. I think, so these are all in the same folder, but I think they are 3 separate things. Oh, wow. Look at the, I broke things. We're good, it's fine. Like I said, I was changing things. So this one is something related to FMC. These 2 articles are related to HCA Martin Corporation in Fieldale, Virginia. This is Fairlawn, Virginia, and I'm guessing related to some to a plant located in Fairlawn. So I think they're all 3. Like, I think there are 3 separate things located here that are all in this folder labeled Radford FMC plant. Anyway, let's move to one of the 2 collections where hopefully we'll have a little more detail to work with. Oh, 3:30. All right, I know there's some good stuff in the other one. I want to glance at these personal letters. The Nat Goldman Correspondence, the one that we looked at the finding aid for first. And yeah, we'll see what we can find. These are 1940s. The others are like 1950s to 1980s. So these will be the earlier of the 2. And this was the guy that I believe the finding aid said he was an auditor for the union. And this was mostly correspondence with his girlfriend who worked in a fur factory in New York, if I'm recalling what the finding aid said. So let's see. Invitation. The first item, invitation from Nat Goldman to Miss R. Barton, care of Kaplan Harris, Sullivan County, New York. Or care of Kaplan Harris, Sullivan County, New York. I guess Harris is the name of the town. It's one of the strangest folds I've ever seen. How is this intended to be read? 3, 2, 4. Where's 1 and 2? We don't have 1 and 2. No, that's 2, 3, 4. I'm guessing this is 1. Today is the 24th of August, 1947. Just 2 months and 2 days since I first saw you. Oh, goody. It's going to be a romantic type of letter. I think we knew that, but... Yet, somehow, it seems so much longer. Longer than time itself. For time can be... Time can be reconed, R-E-C-O-N-E-D, and felt, maybe recognized? I'm not sure what word is meant there, and felt. But my knowing you has no bearing on such feelings. 'Tis as if we have known each other forever and ever, and will continue to do so forever and ever. It would seem to me to be an unnatural and to interfere with such. It would seem to me to be an unnatural act to interfere with such a situation, or rather, such an ideal relationship. I wonder how she felt. I'm only hoping that we could continue to see and know each other for a very long time. That in time we can both grow to like each other very dearly, and perhaps love will then find its way into our hearts. Till then, I can only express my deepest admiration for you and how much I truly miss you. My use and command of the English language do not allow me to say what I would like to in the way I would like to. Honestly, he doesn't seem to have any difficulties with the English language. I am stifled even from the beginning. Take today as an example. You'll ask where I was. And I should reply, Brighton Beach. You'll further ask, something. I do not know what that. INTH WHOME is what I'm seeing, but that doesn't make sense. Maybe it's with whom. Maybe it's two words that have been, yeah. Hannah, you typed it at the same time that my brain said, it's with whom. I should then have to reply, for I would not want to lie to you, that I had accompanied Meyer and Mary and Sarah and Willie. Should you possibly want to know how I had enjoyed the day, I could not but say that the day had been created only to be enjoyed, for such a day it was, that those who waited that those who wanted warmth were warm, that those who want to be cool remained so, that those who wanted to swim stopped not till they were far and stopped not till they were far out of view of the beach. Aha, those who wanted to swim stopped not till they were far out of view of the beach. But then I'm sure you'll ask still another question. You'll say, but you did not find satisfaction in this glorious and wondrous day. And alas, I would have to admit that I was in Brighton, and yet not there, that I noticed how beautiful a day it was, and yet how little it meant to me. As I looked about me, I saw so much of humanity as one can ever see elsewhere. Still, this all had no significance for me, for while it was really me there on the head, the real me, that which resides within me, was not there. I was far away, rollicking with a pretty little dish whose name is forever on my lips. I am afraid to disclose her name for fear that this lovely dream would cease to be. However, if you promise not to betray my secret, I will tell you, but only you. Her name is Reba. And if your father promise not to become jealous of her, I will tell you if you further promise not to become jealous of her, I will tell you something of her. She is the embodiment of all that's good in women. She is pure and true and just. She is simple and yet proud. She is proud and yet humble. The good in her far outweighs the bad. Such traits as jealousy, deceitfulness, and rashness are foreign to her makeup. In short, she is my ideal, my dream girl. And now, my dear, what about my request? Will I be forced to wait till September 2 before seeing you? Don't you think you're carrying this separation there's an entire word there that I have no idea what it is. Something, just a little too far. Please head, Please try hard to make some arrangements which will include me. I have no clue what that one word is. Until then, and with lotions of love, I remain your most faithful admirer, wishing for you the best of everything, Nat. P.S. regards to Ida. Does that really say lotions of love? I can't. That seems very strange. Also, it looks like how he writes E's, but E doesn't make sense there either. It looks like lotions to you as well, yeah. I mean, no, but that is also how he does the L. Yeah, it looks like lotions of love. But yeah, I have no clue what this one word is. Separation something. Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out, I've zoomed in so far, and I was trying to point to the word. I have no idea what this is. Oh well. It turned out, that one didn't mention anything about the union, but it sure was ardent. Somebody prepare to place a tap, because we're going to get some syrup out of that. It was very sappy. I'm scanning right now to see which ones actually mention the union. Because while love letters are, interesting, the focus today is supposed to be the union, so I'm going to attempt to, do that and not spend forever reading love letters that are in cursive that is difficult to. These are supposed to be in here. They ended up in the wrong one. Letters, 1948. Ooh, this one's addressed to Nat. From Reba. It's mentioned in the finding aid, so if you want to get a sense of what this letter's about, I would point you toward the finding aid, unless you really desperately want me to read it, in which case let me know. But I'm looking for union stuff right now, and the union was not mentioned in that letter. Ooh, typewritten, woo! And yet, typewritten but extremely short, and not about the union. The finding aid does say that there's stuff about the union. I could, skim them with them down where you can see them, so if you see something about the union, you can tell me, but I'm scanning for the abbreviation or for the name of the union, like the word textile, or TUW or TWUA. That's what I'm scanning for right now, just because we sadly don't have time to sit here and read every letter. Incidentally, has anybody ever been in a union? I could ask that while we're looking. I swear the finding aid talked about it. Ooh, Lord Portico, you are in a union? That is awesome to hear. Congratulations for one of your 3 jobs. Oh dear. Let's see. MS. What was this one? This was 8825 or 2022-054. I'm going to see if this will tell me maybe which letters I should be looking at, because I haven't seen. and William Pollock. First enclosed letter. Let me see. Ooh. Well, this one's at least in an envelope that says Textile Workers Union of America. So maybe we'll find something here. I have been peripheral to unions before, but I've never had the opportunity to join one. Received from so there's a receipt in here, $10. Oh, camera, did you do that? Why? The camera has decided to take a break and not zoom in. It didn't used to do that. Now it does for some reason, and I don't really understand why. Give it a second. I will have to log back into the camera in order to control the zoom. But you at least have a view, although a shaky one. My apologies. Okay, we have a receipt, 1948, August 26th, Mr. Somebody Goldburn, it looks like. $10, signed by J.G. Crawford. Let's see, J.G. Crawford, M.D. I have this day examined Mr. Nathan Goldman. He is physically sound, and there exists no threat to his well-being at present. When I first read those words, I had not read the header. These words take on a less threatening tone when you read them after realizing that the person writing them is a medical doctor. Okay, so this was in an envelope with the return address of the union. It's still a letter to Reba. So I just got your latest letter, the one dated Tuesday. I thought in my previous letter, I explained what I meant to repeat. I would like to come home this weekend only, August 28 to 29. And if you give me the okay, I'll be home Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. As I see it, though, you won't be able to reply by Friday night, so expect me Saturday morning. I'll be there. I wasn't feeling up to par this last week due to any number of reasons, chief among which was your adamant refusal to see me on my own grounds. Oh dear. Well, to feel my health was being impaired and promptly called up 2 doctors, only one of which agreed to give me the once-over. The others were too busy. So today, I felt my health was being impaired and promptly called up 3 doctors, only one of which agreed to give me the once-over. The others were too busy. So today I had the pleasure and I don't know what that word says. And pass that pleasure on to you of hearing a doctor give me the bad news that I'd be around for a very long time, provided that I remain as I am today. Healthy, that is. To prove my being there, and to help you get rid of any doubts as to my well-being, I'm sending along the doctor's report, brief though it may be, together with the doctor's receipt. This is not a lot of money, considering that he devoted a whole hour to me. I might add that I have never received as thorough an examination from any other medic. His verbal report to me was much more detailed, and I left him with assurances that all of me was okay. Eyes, ears, nose, heart, lungs, blood pressure, temperature, reflexes, spinal, I think analysis, but I'm not sure. Posture, shin, bones, etc. Now it's your turn to get a complete examination as I did, or just to get as complete an examination as I did. And when that's done, we'll get married. So long, just for a little while, love, Nat. Well, it turned out not to be about the union after all, despite being in a union envelope. Damn it, the past. Why didn't you use a word processor like the rest of us? I mean, his handwriting is not too difficult to read. It's just some things, like his capital I's look like 2s to me. Like they look like the number 2, and my brain freezes and has difficulty parsing what it is. I'm curious to know, like, what the union stuff in this collection is, because it mentions that there is stuff, but then every time we've stopped and looked at a letter, there's been no mention of the union, and I don't know. If I had more time, I could sit and like read through all the letters and find it, but I think for now I'm going to set this one aside and go to the other one, because the other one I know has very specific union-y things, because the highlights sheet that my student assistant prepared points to many of them. I'm sad. I was hoping I would be able to find the references, because the finding aid says he wrote to Reba about the union. We found a love letter and a receipt for a doctor's examination as a means of proposing that they get married. Very strange. I'm guessing it was just, so this was 48, so medical exam would have been required for the marriage license. But, okay, so let's look at, this is the Wayne Dernoncourt Papers. And right away, we've got Textile Workers Union of America stuff. So a little bit easier to locate. Yeah, there were mid-century, mid-20th century, there were requirements for the marriage license, requiring a medical examination. Part of it was based in certain genetic things. Part of it was cultural. Technically, the test could reveal if there was some sort of rare blood incompatibility that would mean that the couple couldn't have children, or just things like that. But it was more cultural, just to prove that you weren't diseased, that you were an upstanding and healthy citizen. All right, November 2nd, 1950, Textile Workers Union of America. This is the Office of the General President, Emil Rieve. To all TWUA local unions in the South, this is to advise you that I have appointed Vice President James W. Bamford as Southern Director. He will be in charge of all the southeastern states, and his headquarters will be in the Southern Office of the International Union at 33 Pryor Street, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. Telephone A1-5536. That's an old telephone number. Most of you know Brother Bamford, who has been Assistant Director of the Woolen and Worsted Division of the Union. I want to know more about this union. They had a Woolen and Worsted Division. That sounds awesome. You can be sure that he will cooperate with you to the fullest extent, and in turn, I know that he can count on your cooperation. Now I want to know what the other divisions were. Did they have a corduroy division? What about lace? I'm so curious now. February 13, 1951. So this folder is circular letters, 1950 to 1952. To all Canadian joint boards, local unions, and staff members, greetings. A staff conference in Montreal on January 28th discussed at length the problem of improving the efficiency and effectiveness of our union's program in Canada. It was agreed that our goals should be better coordination of all TWUA activities in the Dominion, closer relationships among various joint boards and local unions, and in general, a broader participation by local and area leaders in shaping and carrying out Canadian policy. At the meeting, I proposed a plan for achieving these goals. I do not, by any means, suggest that this plan will meet every need, but I do believe it will give us a good start. We can enlarge upon it and alter it in the light of future experience. In any event, we will begin by taking the following steps, which I have directed our Canadian staff to put into effect. 1. A Canadian Advisory Council will be set up at once. This council will consist of the joint board managers. It may be broadened to include others if experience proves that this is desirable. This council will be an advisory body to the Canadian Director. It will meet at least 4 times a year, preferably at intervals of about 3 months. Machinery for calling special meetings will be created by the council itself, and its first meeting, and in addition, special meetings, may be called by the Canadian Director. I am to be notified sufficiently in advance of each regular or special meeting so that I can arrange to attend. Many of you may recall that the establishment of such a council was voted by a Canadian conference in 1946. The council never functioned. It will start now. Once each year, a conference of delegates from all Canadian local unions will be held. This conference will not meet in connection with or near the time of CCL or TWUA conventions, but at a time when the delegates can give their undivided attention to the problems of TWUA in Canada. A system for determining representation at this conference will be devised by the Canadian Advisory Council, or if preferred, the basis may be the same as provided in the TWUA Constitution for International Conventions of our union. Joint board managers and business agents are to be elected rather than appointed. In addition, managers and business agents should be on the payrolls of the joint boards. I feel it's preferable in the event we find a subsidy is necessary to pay such a subsidy directly to the joint board rather than to subsidize individuals. My brain did not retain any of those words. Steps are not the only ones that I have in mind to improve Canadian operations, nor do I offer them as a cure-all. However, I'm sure they'll do much toward bringing about a closer-knit union and a broader, more democratic base for establishing policy in Canada. Again, another letter from Emil Rieve. Let me see. I don't think this folder specifically... Oh, okay. No, it was listed as a highlight, but it was like the fourth highlight. It just happens to be the first folder. Let's see. Here's another, just like general to all Canadian joint boards. It looks like a lot of this is aimed at Canadian members. Okay, wait. I think the drama is starting. We got through two like really business-like ones. Let's see. February 22nd, 1951. To all Canadian joint boards, local unions, and staff members, dear member, in the interests of the organization and welfare of our members, I feel I am duty-bound to comment on President Rieve's letter to all Canadian joint boards, local unions, and staff members of February 13th, which, is that not the one that we just read that seemed very pro forma and not... Yep, that is the one we just read. That seemed... I don't know, nothing seemed very controversial, except there was a subtle dig in there about how a committee had been voted on and had never functioned, and it would start to function now. The President's communication no doubt caused confusion amongst our membership, and it is with this in mind that I propose to clarify the issues touched upon so that you will have the complete picture. Since the convention of our union in Boston in May 1950, at which an attempt was made to purge George Baldanzi, the second-ranking officer of our organization, I have been subjected to a continuous campaign designed to harass, undermine, and if possible, force me out of the organization because I opposed the purge. The letter of President Rieve is merely another broadside in the war upon me. I had given notice previously and stated openly again at a recent staff meeting that I would reply to any and all attacks upon me wherever they were made. This I propose to do now. The President, in his communication, orders the Canadian section of our organization to implement 3 directives. These directives, we are told, are designed to improve, quote, the efficiency and effectiveness of our union's program in Canada, unquote. I was never, and am not now, opposed to the idea of improving the Canadian section. On the other hand, the only conclusion one can derive from the President's letter is that the Textile Workers Union of America has been, until this time, inefficient and ineffective in Canada, a point with which the Canadian membership can certainly take issue. Ooh, it's getting spicy. It is common knowledge throughout our organization and Canadian Congress of Labour that TWUA in Canada has an outstanding record of progress. We have set the pace in organization, having multiplied our membership 13 times in 5 years. We have dramatically succeeded in raising the standards of the textile worker in wages and conditions of work, a fact that is widely recognized and pointed to with pride by the labor movement generally. On top of this, we estimate that our organization in these few short years has accumulated some $120,000 to the credit of the Canadian section. Can all this be possible if the organization in Canada were as inefficient or ineffective as the President's letter implies? Another implication in the President's letter is that he seeks, quote, a broader participation by local and area leaders in shaping and carrying out Canadian policy. This is standing logic on its head. Policy in Canada from the beginning was set, quote, by the local and area leaders, unquote, in local unions and joint boards. At no time was policy dictated by the Canadian director. All our local unions and joint boards can testify to this fact. On-wage negotiation policies were determined by the Canadian Cottons Council on behalf of the membership in the Canadian Cottons chain, by the local union in the Courtaulds plant, by the council in the Hamilton Cottons chain, by the council in the Monarch knitting chain. These are just the important examples, representing the overwhelming majority of all our members in Canada, of local unions which have made policy exclusively in behalf of their membership. Under the circumstances, it must be clear that it is not, as the President puts it, because the fact of the matter is, our structure has been built in Canada on the basis of complete local and area autonomy in making policy for the membership. I might suggest to the President that the shoe is on the wrong foot, that it is the Canadian director who could participate more broadly in making policy where it is actually made at the local level. There is no complaint on record, nor was one made at the staff meeting on January 27th and 28th, which the President attended, that the Canadian director ever imposed policy on the joint boards or local unions. The President, at this staff conference in Montreal, bemoaned the expenditures in connection with the sending of delegates to the conventions of the Canadian Congress of Labour. The day-and-one-half staff conference was confined almost entirely to an attack on the Canadian director by the President, aided and abetted by the Secretary-Treasurer. The President, in the last 10 minutes, told the staff to prepare for a series of functions that will run into a fantastic cost in implementation. The nature of these functions were neither suggested nor discussed by the staff in attendance. We now have directives calling for meetings at the Advisory Council at least 4 times a year and a national conference once a year. The letter he specifically ordered shall not be held in conjunction with the Canadian Congress of Labour Convention, at which time locals and the union generally undertake heavy expenditures in order to bring out the best possible representation. Aside from the additional costs of 4 Advisory Council joint board managers meetings, since under another directive from the President, managers are being taken off the International's payroll and arbitrarily placed on joint board payrolls, the local unions and joint boards face the gigantic financial problem of sending delegates to A. TWUA conventions, B. National Textile conferences, C. CCL conventions, D. meetings in connection with negotiations for chain agreements. These local unions and joint boards must also face the innumerable demands made upon them by the labor movement for educational seminars, political action conferences, etc. I put it to the local unions. Is it financially possible to implement effectively this directive of the President? Hello, 16-Bit Eric. Thank you for the raid. Hi, Shadows of Life. Happy Wednesday. Welcome in, everybody, from 16-Bit Eric's stream. I'm Anthony Wright de Hernandez, otherwise known on the internet as Brogan27. And, oh, thank you for the bits, Baba Yeehaw. Welcome. This is Archival Adventures, my Wednesday show, where I share things from Special Collections and University Archives here at Virginia Tech. Today we're looking at materials related to the Textile Workers Union of America. And union stuff, very topical. You were talking about the WGA SAG strike earlier. Yeah, I was there for that part. And yes, indeed, if you're here and you're not already following 16-Bit Eric, please do. Eric is a wonderful streamer, a wonderful person, and you'll be happy if you take some time to sit down and watch his streams. So thank you everybody for joining me. There's some drama happening in the Textile Workers Union of America here in 1951. Somebody up in the Canadian portion of the union was not happy with the president of the union and wrote 5 pages about it. So I'm reciting the letter. Let's see. As if these additional expenditures were not enough, the president, without warning, consultation, or discussion in the staff meeting, now directs that joint boards will assume the financial burden of meeting the salaries and expenses of joint board managers. At the last convention, those who opposed the purge of George Baldanzi also initiated a constitutional amendment to have top area officers, including the Canadian director, approved by the membership they direct. However, the burdening of joint boards with the further expenditures ordered by the president is destructive to the morale of our organization and its efficient operation. As an example, the Cornwall situation can be cited. This joint board, in round figures, pays to the International in per capita about $1,000 per week. The Cornwall Joint Board employs and pays 2 full-time business agents and 1 full-time office manager. The only expenditure in this area by the International is the salary and expenses of the Joint Board manager. What will be the reaction among the 4,000 textile workers in that city when they are told that this relatively small contribution of the International is unilaterally withdrawn by the president, despite the fact that the Cornwall area is one of the main sources of financial support for building our organization in Canada? This example can be applied in other areas. It should be pointed out here that after the convention in Boston in May 1950, a subcommittee of the Executive Council was set up to look into the whole question of the election, approval, and appointment of state, area, and joint board directors, as well as of the business agents. This subcommittee has yet to report to the Executive Council. Despite this fact, the president, without any action on the part of the Executive Council, has presented all the joint boards in Canada with an order that will inevitably throw them into complete turmoil. What is even worse is that the policy ordered for Canada has not been ordered in the United States. I have tried here to point out, among other things, the financial implications of the president's directives. If a constructive purpose were to be served, I am certain that all of Canada would carry its part of the burden and attempt to meet its financial obligations resulting from the president's directives. But what purpose do these directives serve? One calls for an advisory council that will advise the Canadian director. Another for a national conference, which is a conference and not a policy-making body in the usual trade union conception of a constitutional body and convention. It is ironic that the president deplores, 5 years after the event, the fact that an advisory council never functioned. The president should have advised you that from the very beginning of our organization in Canada. I urged upon him the setting up of policy-making bodies in Canada with authority to make policy for Canada. The president was completely unreceptive to any such structures for Canada. However, he told me that if I wanted to do so, I could set up an advisory council. I believe that an advisory council is an insult to the intelligence of the Canadian members of our organization. What Canada needs is a cooperative international union that will understand the national problems of the union in Canada and permit this section to function with democratic prerogatives. It is unquestionable that the textile workers of Canada need a strong international union. It is likewise incontestable that Canadians need more autonomy within the international to function properly in the best interests of the Canadian membership and the international as a whole. Then, and only then, will we have a closer-knit union and a broader, more democratic base for establishing policy in Canada. Please be assured that I shall explore all avenues to determine whether the organization will endorse the reneging on financial commitments made over the years in this a unilateral manner without consultation or discussion with any official body in Canada. In conclusion, I want the membership to believe that I am virtually helpless in bringing these attacks to a halt. The administration is bent upon carrying out what it failed to do last May in the highest body of our organization, the Convention of TWUA. This campaign may be sad for us of TWUA in Canada, but I can assure you there is considerable glee in the communist camp, which hasn't hesitated a moment, not unlike vultures, to swoop down upon our organization in an effort to take over our membership. 1950s. Got to bring out those communists. This was emphasized by the recent concentrated distribution of scurrilous leaflets dealing with our internal dispute by the Communists of the United Textile Workers of America, TCL-AFL, to our membership at the plant gates of the 5 textile mills in Cornwall, Ontario. Whatever dispute we have within our organization will be resolved within our organization. The communists should know by now that our membership in Canada would not want to be found dead in the same organization with them. Fraternally yours, signed Samuel Barron. Samuel Barron, Canadian Director. Carbon copy to Emil Rieve, George Baldanzi, and William Pollock. We know that Rieve is the president. Baldanzi, I'm not sure what his role was, but we could find out. The communist camp sounds like the worst summer holiday location. I don't know. I imagine people would cooperate with one another. Hannah, thank you for the time check. I'm going to skip through some other things. The next letter, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the next one is from the president, I assume. Yeah, from Emil Rieve, General President. And it starts off, "Dear Sir and Brother, I am dismissing Samuel Barron as Canadian Director of our union. And as a member of the staff, I want the membership to know why." So after the 5-page, or 4.5-page letter, basically saying that the president has done bad things for the Canadian portion of the union, the next letter is from the president saying, "I just fired that person that wrote that letter. Let me tell you why." Wow. And then, let's see, this is Toronto. And then you get an 11-page letter from Sam Barron. I'm going to have to dig through this collection some more and maybe do a blog post about it, because, wow. Okay. I'm going to skip because we can dig some more into these letters, but there's more in this collection. And there was let's see, there were some specific things called out as highlights, and that was only one of them. Folder 5. Folder 7, A through C. Honestly, it seems like this entire collection is just interesting. 9 and 10. Ooh. Yeah, basically, I should have started with this collection. It's okay. The letters that we looked at were interesting. There are some speeches But again, that's going to be lots of reading. We can come back to that in a second if we decide we need to. But memorabilia. Oh, we've got a license plate. Textiles worker, I can't even say the words, sorry. TWUA number 6, Lewistown, Pennsylvania. 33 years progress under TWUA, Textile Workers Union of America. This is really cool, actually. We don't take a lot of objects, but I was already planning at some point to do a union-focused exhibit, and now I definitely have some things to put in it. Let's see. So there's a couple of medals. Guest, 10th Biennial Convention. I can zoom in on the medal itself, I think, if the camera wants to cooperate. I can also pull it out of the plastic sleeve so that we don't get glare. Union Made, Textile Workers Union of America, AFL-CIO, May 12 through 16, 1938. This is the 10th biennial. And I'm trying to get this button to show at the little bit at the top here. So it's TWUA with a little AFL-CIO banner on it, and then in the circle the words are Textile Workers Union of America. There's a campaign button for Rieve, the president who was involved in the controversy that we were reading some letters about. And then another looks like a campaign button, Unity and Progress through Democracy, Textile Workers Union of America, CIO. I've already forgotten what CIO stood for. It was in the finding aid, but it has left my brain. Slash MS 1988025. Congress of Industrial Relations. That's what CIO stood for, or stands for, in this context. And then another medal here. This is for Cleveland, April 28th, 1952. Union Made, Textile Workers Union of America. They were a delegate at that convention, the biennial convention. Sorry. I should focus on making sure that you all can see it more so than that I can see it, because I can look up there and see it. But that's pretty cool. All right, next. I think this is memorabilia. I don't think this is specifically Textile Workers Union memorabilia this time, but it is interesting, so. This is a certificate of crossing the international date line from Japan Airlines, February 7th, 1973. This certificate officially proclaims that the bearer has crossed the international date line aboard a jet courier of Japan Airlines. Interesting. I had not specifically seen one of those before. It comes in a lovely blue envelope, which I'm guessing the other envelope is another certificate for crossing the date line. Yep. Interesting. I've never crossed the international date line. Do they still give those out? Or was that just a Japan Airlines thing, or do other airlines do similar? I have no idea. It's the first time I've ever heard of such. I would be surprised if they still gave them. Photographs. 1952 to 1965. Cruise ships might. He squared, that's interesting. And also not as surprising as I would think. I would be surprised if airlines still did, but cruise ship, I could definitely see that could still be desirable for their target audience. All right, so here we have, I probably zoomed in a little further than I should have. Let's go back out to here. Some photographs. This is from the 7th Biennial Convention of the Textile Workers Union of America in 1952. Is there info on who they are? Doesn't look like it, but yeah, 5 men and 2 women. 1952. Huh. Ooh. I don't know why. Did it come with I crossed the international date line and all I got was this lousy t-shirt shirt? I don't think so. Does anybody get a little bit of a Hollywood mafia portrayal vibe off of any of these people? Because I get a tiny bit there, but then when you go here, I'm like, the cocked fedora, it's just like, it screams like Hollywood stereotypical mobster to me. I'm not saying in any way that anybody involved with this union or that these people pictured were mobsters. I'm just like, if I were a costumer doing mobsters in Hollywood, this would be a look. Period mobster. Eighth Biennial Convention, Atlantic City, New Jersey, 1954. We've lost the women. Teamsters always makes me think of mafia, even though it's not true. Yeah, I could see that. This one we have some names. Otis Seals, Joe Barker, W.L. Dernoncourt, Paul C., Leonard Henderson, and Lloyd Taylor. So third from the left is the person whose papers it is. So this guy is the guy whose papers these are. But working class guy in nice suit. Yeah, I wonder if it's the other way around. To what extent were the portrayals of mobsters inspired by meetings like this, since most production staff didn't know any actual mobsters? T-squared, that is a good observation. The word would not come into my brain. Cheapers. got some interesting bots happening. And we can make them disappear. 13th convention. Again, this time just all men. The bowler hat sitting very high on that guy's head is interesting. But just the fashion here, like 1964. Everybody else has stepped down to like casual, but the guy whose papers this is, who was an auditor for the union, still in a full-on suit. Yeah, management of the companies would definitely have loved to boost the mob aesthetic of such a meeting. Let's see, this one. Wow, we again, no women. Textile Workers Union of America, Local 325, Clifton, South Carolina. No names on this one. There's Dernoncourt again over on the side. Ooh, finally! More than just men. Although, still all white. I'm guessing this is still the 325 just because the same photography studio. Got some kids sitting in the front row. Yeah. They had their own building, the local 325 in South Carolina there. These are interesting. Wayne, just going through some junk, thought you might want this junk. ETK. They had kids in the past too? I think so, yeah. I love the note that's with this one. Like, I don't know who most of these people are. I don't know what event this is. That information's not provided, but the note, I don't even know who ETK is, but just going through some junk, thought you might want this junk. Interesting. Oh dear. We have, yeah, some inappropriate costume. Retired member. Huh. Somebody in the local 1386. Oh, no, that's not the photo. The photo with the costume on didn't have names. Huh. Okay, let's put the rest of those photos down. Let's quickly. I'm pushing the time just a little bit. I got started late today too. We don't have a command for that one. Historical terms doesn't quite cover it. Historical terms is kind of the closest command that we have for it, but yeah. Broadsides and articles. I like broadsides. Oh wow. A lot of these look like campaign things for the election of officers. I'm going to read a couple of them here. Oh, it's a trifold. Let's see. I think the beginning is there. Yeah. I base that on the fact that the little at the bottom of this is where not printed at union expense is with the little label. So I assume this is the exterior and this looks like the front rather than this. This to me is more likely to be the back just because of where it is on the trifold. I could be wrong. This is no time to weaken TWUA leadership. There's still a long way to go. Let's keep moving ahead under proven leaders. Support the Rieve administration. Not printed at union expense. And then of course there's ballot, or a slate that they're telling you who to vote for. When you first open it, it took guts and determination, but you built the first successful textile union. You've gone places in 13 years. You have built a union from 50,000 dues-paying members in 1939 to more than 350,000 in 1952. That's a record to be proud of in an industry which beat back every previous effort to organize and is still fighting unions whenever and wherever it can. You're ready to fight when an employer refuses to sign a contract or a government agency won't approve one. You've been willing to fight hard for what you have wanted and deserved. North, South, East, and West, 150,000 of you were on the picket lines in the last 2 years alone, demonstrating the kind of solidarity that means unionism to textile workers and spells TWUA to the employers too. You have provided the money that makes strong unionism possible. When you formed your union in 1939, TWUA had to borrow money to keep alive. In 1951, TWUA could spend $1,260,000 in a 5-week strike and still keep a sizable reserve. You made this possible by raising dues and per capita tax, and by making generous contributions when you have been called upon. With this strength you have raised wages more than $1 an hour to most branches of the industry. Northern cotton is up from 44 cents to $1.42. Southern cotton from 36 cents to $1.28. Wool and worsted from 52 cents to $1.60.5. Synthetic yarns from 62.5 cents to $1.67. Carpets and rugs from 63 cents to $1.65. 2. Unpaid vacations and paid holidays. 3. Established company-paid insurance and, in many mills, pensions. 4. Gained seniority, job control, and many other protections. You have won the respect of the workers, employers, and the government for textile workers and TWUA-CIO. But now these gains are in danger. Yeah, and I think at that point is when you're supposed to get to vote for General President Emil Rieve, and go on from there. Yeah, there's so much drama in this collection. This one is lovely. Do you want a goon squad union? Last September at the New York State CIO Convention in Lake Placid, a gang of drunken rowdies, led by John Dratch, warden of Local 122 Yonkers, surrounded General President Emil Rieve on the sidewalk in front of his hotel. "We'll get you in Cleveland," they shouted. "We'll have 20 goons for every one of yours." But the Baldanzi gang didn't wait for Cleveland. Here are just a few examples of their democratic behavior. Local 656, Passaic, New Jersey. A membership meeting was called to nominate convention delegates. for election at the following meeting. Baldanzi supporters, led by State Director Soriano, created an uproar with persistent demands for an immediate election. The chairman was unable to obtain order. A vote to adjourn was carried. After half the members and all but one local officer had left, Soriano authorized an election among those who remained. And he still says the persons elected are the legitimate representatives of the local membership. Local 464, Haverstraw, New York. A group headed by Charles E. Hughes, manager of Local 122, dispensed free drinks in a bar across from the meeting hall and then invaded the meeting itself. The resulting disturbance broke up the meeting. When a new date was set, Baldanzi himself joined Hughes in a pre-meeting rally. The vote went against the Baldanzi ticket by a 2-to-1 margin. After the count, Baldanzi supporters discovered that a secret ballot should have been conducted. The local officers at once set up a new election. This time, the anti-Baldanzi margin was 3-to-1. Local 80, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Baldanzi followers took advantage of their temporary majority at a meeting where attendance was small to throw out the local traditional method of electing delegates by ballot. With the polls open all day, the Baldanzi group rammed through a motion to nominate the regular meeting in February and elect at the regular meeting in March. At the February meeting, the attendance was large. A motion to rescind the previous action was carried. Thereupon, the Baldanzi group created such a disturbance that no further business could be transacted. Not even arrangements for an election. The local executive board was obliged to make the arrangements because the Baldanzi group prevented the membership from doing so. Paterson, New Jersey Joint Board. A vacancy existed in Local 481 in the office of Joint Board Delegate. An election was held. A pro-administration candidate was chosen. The losers demanded a new election. Against the advice of the Joint Board member, who pointed out that a specified legal procedure must be followed to set aside an election, a new vote was held. This time, an anti-administration candidate won. The question of which delegate should be seated was placed before the Joint Board, which divided 10-10. Soriano and his followers demanded that their candidate be allowed to vote on his own right to be seated. When they couldn't get their way, they broke up the Joint Board meeting. They caused such a violent row that the board refuses to meet again unless a committee of the International Executive Council is present to maintain order. Local 1093, Rock Hill, South Carolina. The pro-Baldanzi president of this local conducted an election of convention delegates without notice to the membership. Winners received 17 and 16 votes in a local of 1,300. At the following meeting, the president refused to accept a motion to rescind the election, refused to recognize a motion to appeal his decision, accepted a motion to adjourn, and insisted upon adjourning the meeting, although the motion was overwhelmingly defeated. Local 2052, Union City, New Jersey. A meeting to elect convention delegates was called and membership notified. But at the meeting, the pro-Baldanzi chairman refused to accept nominations. He insisted on presenting only the slates picked in advance by the pro-Baldanzi executive board of the local. The only choice of the membership was to vote yes or no on this hand-picked group. These are the Democrats in action. These are the sweet talk boys, Baldanzi, Hughes, Soriano, and the rest, who want to reform the union. Some democracy, some reform. If they're sure to win, they go through the motions of a free vote. If they're doubtful, they insist on a single hand-picked slate for a yeah vote, like Hitler's. Wow, we're going there. If they're not in control, they break up the meetings if they can to discourage and disgust the honest rank-and-filers from showing up again. Is this the kind of union you want? Do you want this kind of thing in TWUA? Of course not. So remember, it takes more than talk to make true democracy. After all, Hitler talked democracy, and Stalin calls his commie captives the people's democracies. Let's stick with real democracy in TWUA. Printed by supporters of the TWUA administration. not paid for by union funds. Interesting. It sounds so very much like today's politics. The immediate, like the, honestly, it's surprising that it took them that long to get around to like bringing in the Nazis. And this was like 1950s. Oh, wow. I did not know anything about this collection, and it is neat, and I am definitely going to have to, there's enough here I could easily do an entire exhibit with just this collection. And I could definitely do a blog post. Like, it's good. This is really interesting stuff. Not exactly what I was thinking I would look at. I was thinking more like, oh, there'd be stuff about like how unions function or strike authorizations or things like that. But no, it's very much an internal fight within this union. And it's fascinating. Anyway, let's wind down because I do need to start to cause today's stream to end. So I need to switch back to this one and then go to here. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you so much, Eric, for the raid. If you happen to be like listening in or lurking somewhere out there. Hopefully it was interesting and enjoyable. I know a little rocky at the start with things changing with the setup, and there's a little bit more change to come. I just have to figure it out. But overall, it functioned okay. So let me see where we want to go. Hold. No. It was already muted, and I accidentally unmuted it. Let's see. Okay, so Stephen is on, which is always a good time. There's penguins! It's not just that there is the Monterey Bay Aquarium with the penguin cam today, it's that the penguins are visible on the cam today. So we're gonna have to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium because penguin cam. Like, there is no option. We must go to the penguin cam. So we'll be rating the Monterey Bay Aquarium today. And up next week, Argos Bess will be joining me. And we'll be looking at, I don't remember. I don't actually know. It's a collection of materials from someone named John T. Parsons. Bess has been working with that collection, processing it. It's many, many, many boxes. And she selected some of them for us to feature next week. And she will be here to sort of guide us through and introduce us to the collection. So I'm looking forward to that. I've not had Bess on before, so you'll all get to meet someone new next week. But yes, join me for the raid over to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. A lovely, lovely channel, very chill. And enjoy the penguins. And hopefully I will see you all again soon. Just get those raids up and running. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope that I will see you back here in the near future. Until I see you again, keep exploring history.